Okay, this is a message to those who are involved in relationships. Relationships can be rocky sometimes. You're in love, but there are times where you just can't stand each other. You have little arguments here and there, but eventually you come to some kind of agreement. Now, toxic relationships, that's a totally different situation. That's something I'll talk about later, because those are relationships that have no boundaries and go beyond any level of reasonable comprehension. As far as everything is extreme, everything is just to the nth degree, and it usually involves dragging in innocent people and hurting them. So toxic relationships do not apply. I'm just talking about general relationships here. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say how important it is that you guys communicate as much as you possibly can when you're in a relationship. And communication is not all about talking. That's why I always get on this bit about freedom of speech, because they talk about freedom of speech, but they don't talk about the freedom to listen. That's what we need to do. We need to come up with a new amendment to add to the Constitution called freedom to listen. And that'll be like section sub A of freedom of speech. Because when you have communication involves listening and speaking. It's not one or the other. And in some relationships, some people think it is. They think that one person has to do nothing but listen, and the other one has to do nothing but talk, but they claim they have good communication. No. Doesn't work that way. No, I remember my mother telling me a long time ago, be careful of them quiet ones. And that has so many meanings. It has so many meanings. You got somebody who's quiet all the time and don't say anything. Number one, they're not in touch with their feelings. Number two, they're in complete denial that they even have feelings. Or number three, they are a explosion waiting to happen. Either way, none of these things are good. You have a relationship where you have someone who's unhappily quiet. Now, there's some people that are happily quiet in relationships, and that's their dynamic, and that's the way they get down. We're talking about people who are in miserable situations, and all they do is sit there and be quiet. There is no way you're going to be in a negative situation and be quiet all the time and don't feel anything and don't exercise your feelings in some way. In most cases, a lot of these people turn to substance abuse because that's the only way that they can express themselves or allowed to express themselves in a relationship. And they don't have the courage to leave. And nowadays, people are notorious for using finances for a reason why they can't leave. There are so many free resources out there to help people. See, the truth is, a lot of you don't want to get out of that marriage or get out of that long-term relationship because you got so much money and everything involved that you don't want to pull out your resources, because that would mean that you would have to downgrade a little bit. You've gotten used to a certain lifestyle. You don't want to trade in that BMW for a Toyota. You don't want to have to do overtime when you're doing okay with your little 35 hours a week. You don't want to have to ask your boss for extra hours. You don't want to move out of that 4-bedroom mansion into a 2-bedroom apartment. Be honest with yourself. Don't sit there. You know everything's falling apart in your household, and you want to sit there and say, well, I really don't care that much about her. But the thing is, you sit there and you use the kids as an excuse. Now, the kids already know that your asses don't need to be together, especially if they're teenagers. Teenagers are smart. They're smarter than you think they are. They see it all because they're going to school every day and they're hearing it and they're seeing it. They probably have friends that are going through it, and then they also have friends who have parents that are happily married. They know the difference. They know the difference between what's right and what's wrong, and they're coming home to wrong every single day. But you want to sit here and say, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stay there until they're 18 years old. For what? So you can show them how wrong and dysfunctional it is every single day just to live with somebody? Oh, so you can go ahead and say, I don't want to be a statistic that they're in a single parent household. Let me tell you something about this single parent thing. There is nothing easy about it. And I understand that there are certain statistics where there are higher levels of negative behavior in some single parent households. But that's not all of the cases. Now, there are some single parents who became single parents and they were more effective at parenting than they were when they was married, because when they were married, it was so toxic in that household that they had to get out of there. And once they did and find peace with themselves, they started to feel better about themselves, be able to communicate, be able to find a better job, be able to get better resources, therefore be a better example to their children. Y'all heard me. So I know there's statistics out there, and people, you got to understand something about statistics. Statistics involve samples of groups, not the whole group. There are always exceptions to the rule. That's what I've grown up to learn. There's always an exception to the rule. There's no 100% anything when you're dealing with human behavior, because humans are flawed and they're not perfect. And I believe in the rare occasion of those one or two people who beat the odds. I believe in that because it happens every single day. So statistics are nice. I've had to use them when I did my research. I get that. But don't sit here and rely on statistics as a basis for you to hem up your life. Because I talk to people all the time, some of them in bad marriages, and the first thing they want to say is, I don't want to be a statistic. So what? You think it's going to change who you are as a person just because you went from married to divorced? So what? The question is, were you happier married or happier divorced? That's the thing. And especially if you have a small child. A small child, medium child, if you have a child that's with you, you're taking care of, they're going to see that negative energy if the both of y'all are together, and guess what? They're going to pattern that energy. They're going to think in their minds, oh, you know what? That's the way parents are supposed to be. It's supposed to be where daddy stays out all night long, and when he comes home, he doesn't have any money to pay bills. It's supposed to be that mama's working all day, 3 and 4 jobs just to make sure everything's taken care of. It's okay. You know, it's supposed to be where they don't spend any time together as a couple and do loving things. It's supposed to be where they don't show any type of affection toward each other or spend any time together. That's the way it's supposed to be. Because that's what you're showing your children. But you're scared to step out. You want to say, oh, well, you know, it's best that they have 2 parents in the household. First of all, what makes you think if you get a divorce today or tomorrow from your wife or from your husband, oh, they're going to stop being mom and daddy now? You've already figured that in your mind. Oh, well, they're in the household. No, they're not. You just got through telling me that they don't be home at night. You just got through telling me they don't come home 2-3 days in a row. So what do you mean they're home? They're not home. I mean, which one is it? They're either home or they're not home. Which one is the truth? And if they are, they're only there for their children. They're not there for you. If you're going to be together, be together. Be there as a couple. Y'all roommates. That's what you are. And if you want to be a roommate situation, fine. Get the divorce and stay together. If it's all about the kids. But don't sit there and say in the name of marriage, I'm going to stay married and do this. See, that's the thing. You're besmirching the institute of marriage. You're putting it down on a level where it doesn't need to be. And we're in a society now where marriage is just a tool for convenience. And you got a lot of people that didn't see a good marriage, don't understand a good marriage, telling other people what they need to do in order to have a good marriage. The only thing I could tell you is how to love somebody. That's the only thing I could tell you. I can't tell you how to be with somebody for 20 or 30 years, and I hadn't been there 20 or 30 years. But what I can do is I can tell you what it's like to be in love with somebody that you're married to and what it's like not to be in love with somebody you're married to. I can tell you that. I can tell you about some of the pitfalls and the things that come up. I can tell you some of the wonderful things that come up with being married. That's how come I don't let my failed marriage taint my idea of marriage at all. My marriage failed. I learned some lessons from it. He's moved on. I've moved on. That's it. But I don't let that cloud my judgment for any future possibility of marriage. As I stated before, maybe it'll happen for me in the future, maybe not. But the thing is I've developed such a close relationship with my Creator, whatever happens, happens. As long as I have peace in my life. But some of you are sitting up here tying up your whole future because you worried about somebody saying, I told you so. You worried about somebody saying, oh, Lord, they're divorced. We can't deal with them anymore. You worried about being ostracized. You worried about being talked about. You're worried about losing your level of income. You don't want to scale back if just for a little while. You want to keep the same lifestyle that you have, no matter what. You have sold your soul to keep what you have. Yes, you have. Oh, that seems to be a bit extreme. You sold your soul. You're pimping yourself out. You're pimping yourself out. And that's basically what you're doing is you're behaving and living in a way that's contrary to your beliefs and it's making you unhappy. You're pimping yourself out. And you're cloaking it under, well, our children need to have two parents until they're grown, and then once they get grown, I'll move on. And the majority of you, guess what? You don't move on. Because the truth is, you still deep down love that person and you don't want to break up with them. How about that? I know some of y'all don't like that. Love, what you talking about? All that stuff that he did to me, how in the world can I still love him? You still can. You still can. Love? What you mean? She done spent up all this money on and everything else and she don't even perform her duties as a wife or a mother. I gotta do all the work when I come home from working all day long. What you mean I still love her? You still love her. There's still some love in your heart for that person. You still have the case of the warm and fuzzies because from time to time you sit there and remember the good times and you want to keep that going. That fire is still in your belly like the old people used to say. That's the real reason why you don't want to leave. Because you already know in the back of your mind you might have to scale things down a little bit, when you do get divorced. But that's temporary. That's going to improve. And talk about the real reason. Sit down with yourself or a therapist or somebody and talk about the real reason why you don't want to walk out. Talk about it. You don't want to think about your life without this person, so you'd rather just accept the bullshit life that you have with them. You'd rather have that than have a life without them. This can apply to marriage. This can apply to toxic relationships. This can apply to simple boyfriend-girlfriend situation. The truth is, deep down, you don't want to see your life without them, no matter what kind of shit they put you through. Or what kind of shit you allow them to put you through. Let me say that. You need to sit down and decide the real reason why. Because I'm going to tell you, half these people that you're telling this stuff to about, financially it'll be better, or, it's better for the sake of the kids and all this stuff, half those people are like, she still loves him. He still loves her. Because in this day and age, it is way too easy to get a lawyer. And especially if the person has been clearly wrong, who's in a relationship too, you could walk out of there with more than you had when you was married to him. Let's have a real conversation, people. Let's have a real conversation. You could walk out of there with more than you had when you were with them. You know that. If it's about the money. If it's about the money. Oh, well, I just want them around to be a good mother to a good father. Go over to family court and set up visitation, and there'll be mother, set up liberal visitation. There'll be good father, good mother all day, every day. You ain't got to stay married to them. Sit down with yourself and have a real conversation. Better yet, sit down and talk to somebody, because if you're at this level of thinking, you're not thinking straight anyway, so you need somebody to kind of, bounce this stuff off of so they can kind of help you find some solutions. Go talk to somebody and really just be honest with yourself. You still love them. And I know this is going to rub some people the wrong way, but you don't understand. The situation is da 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 da. You know there's an alternative to that. Why didn't you use it then? Feelings. Well, da da da, the money, da 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 da. Divorce settlement, court, assistance, feelings. Well, you don't understand. He's a great father and everything, and I just don't want him to be out of their lives every day. Family court, liberal visitation, feelings. It's your feelings, my friend, your feelings. So you look at yourself and find out what you're going to do. You got a person that's dependent on you, that's looking at this situation every single day, and they're being programmed that this is the right way to go. Do you want to be in a situation 15, 20 years from now and see them go through the same shit you're going through to the nth degree? How do you think that's going to make you feel as a parent? That they're going through a worse situation, because in a lot of the cases, our children, if they turn around and fall in the situations we fall into, they wind up taking it to the next level. How would it make you feel? You sitting up here getting pimped out by your wife and everything and won't do anything about it. You sitting up here getting used up and embarrassed and everything else. And you see your son grow up, struggle through college, get a degree, move up in the company ranks, and turns around and he brings home the same thing you brought home, exhibiting the same behaviors, doing the same thing. And 2 to 3 years after he put that ring on his finger, he's calling you back, telling you the same stories that you went through with somebody else 20 years before. How would you feel as a parent? How would you feel as a mother knowing that your husband beats you up every single day, knocks you out, doesn't do anything to try to keep a job or keep any finances in the house, and you got to work all day long and everything? He's running around in the streets all day long, embarrassing your good name, no matter how hard you work, no matter how many hours you did in community service, no matter how much you volunteer, no matter how many ministries in the church. The people out there in the streets know that your husband is making your good name look bad. He is embarrassing you every single day. And you sit there and allow it. Let him put your hands on you and spend up the money. That's some serious mess right there. And your daughter sitting up there looking at the whole thing. And the only thing that you could do is sit there and give her a whole bunch of excuses. Y'all having these little side conversations, especially when they get teenagers, they start asking pointed questions. And then it gets to the point where you run out of excuses, and all of a sudden they become your little confidant. First of all, a child shouldn't even have to be placed under that pressure of being your confidant of such an extreme adult situation. That is a child. Stop doing that shit. Well, yeah, your daughter, your daddy out there in the street, and because of so-and-so. Stop having these conversations with these babies. They're still developing. They're still growing. You need to have this conversation with a therapist or a spiritual counselor. And then you wonder, when they get grown up, they turn around and go through the same thing. Stop doing that. Stop exposing them to all this grown folks shit. See, when I was a little kid, I was told that, when the grown folks were around, after a certain time, the kids had to go back in the room and play. They had to go back in in the basement. They had to go somewhere else. They couldn't be privy to all that adult stuff. Y'all be letting these little kids sit up there and listen to every single and be witness to every single adult situation that's going on. And then when they get 15, 16 years old, they bring an adult situation home, and you want to holler at them. You want to have a fit, and you want to blame them. Blame yourselves. You introduced that shit to them when they was 3 and 4 years old, and you knew their behind should have been in bed at 10 o'clock. But you and the girl sitting up there playing cards and drinking. You see they still up. Their behind should have been in the bed. Children are still up. 10 o'clock at night at 3 o'clock in the morning. 10, 11 o'clock at night. 3 years old, 3 years old. 3 and 4 years old. Watching y'all finish the card game. And listening to every single loose lip thing that you're saying because you've been drinking too much. And this happens 2-3 times a week. First of all, they ain't got no designated bedtime. Quit making these kids witness to y'all bullshit. Stop it. Then you turn around and some of them have the nerve to even insult their intelligence. They see this mess is going on, this wrong, and you'll turn around and try to tell them it's something else. Now you're really messing their head up. Oh, honey, it's not that bad and da-da-da. Okay, so now you're programming them that it's okay to sit there and lie about it. This is not good, people. You see how detrimental this all is? Come on now. Failed leadership in the household. Failed leadership. Failed leadership on behalf of the woman. Failed leadership on behalf of the man. Man needs to sit down with himself. If he didn't want to have no wife and family and be settled down, then don't turn around and do these little fake-ass situations. Getting these little hot behind girls and then turn around and get all up in their face and throw money at them and be all attentive and then turn around and say, let's move in together. I want you to have my baby. You creating all these permanent situations knowing full and damn well you ain't going to be hanging around. Stop that shit. Because there's too many women out here that don't mind if you come and go whenever you want and you ain't got to worry about the responsibility. All of a sudden, years down the road, you wondering why she giving you such a hard time. You sit up here and try to play house and play like you the man knowing full and darn well you're not going to be around. Stop it. And you wondering why you getting all this drama is well deserved. Ladies, y'all sitting up here getting these sugar daddies. You think it's all about looking pretty and getting money and you ain't got to pay no price for that? Let me tell you something. A lot of these sugar daddies, they may be dumb enough to sit there and spend money on you, but a lot of them want something in return, and a lot of y'all ain't willing to deliver what they want. And some of them are pretty sick. Some of them want the privilege to beat the hell out of you after they give you all that money. Some of them want a key, an extra spare key so they can come in and out the house anytime, in and out your apartment anytime you want. Some of them want you to just do all kind of things. I've heard the stories. But you want that money, see? Y'all better quit playing these roles with these men, especially a lot of these older men, and don't turn around and get one that ain't never been married before, never had any kids or anything. And he see you and decide to start throwing stuff at you and you're not taking anything seriously. He turn around and catch feelings for you, and then you sitting up here playing, and he don't have sense enough to know that you a sugar baby. Some of his friends and stuff try to tell him he don't want to hear it because he think they're being jealous. Come to find out, it's the truth. What you think that man's going to do after he has spent all that money and time on you? It's not going to be pretty, ladies. Watch who you play sugar baby to. These guys not playing around when it comes to their money, especially if they're over 40. If they're over 40 and they're serious about their money, they're not playing with you. They may have you for that one purpose, but they want it when they want it. And you better not give them a hard time about it either. They ain't going to sit up here and play cat and mouse with you. So don't sit up here and complain later on about how John is always around too much and how John wants you to have a key to so and so, and about how John wants you to spend time with his friends. And you know what I mean by spending time. He wants you to turn around and give it up to his friends as well, just so he can keep paying them bills in the house. He want to turn around and have you be his little service woman. There's situations like that. You got these sugar babies with these sugar daddies. They have about 3 or 4 different sugar daddies, but you got that one that's paying the most of the bills, and she's got to do everything he tells her to do. She send a dude over there, she's got to give that dude whatever he wants, just so he can keep the bills paid. I'm not making up these stories. Y'all know it's the truth. I have talked to women in the shelters. I have talked to women in the prisons, and I've talked to women when in the ministry who went through this. 22, 23-year-old sugar babies got 3, 4 men paying all the bills in the house, taking care of everything for them. They don't have to work. All they got to do is look pretty and make themselves available. They thought it was easy. Then all of a sudden you get that one. He's like, give me a key. Or turn around and give you a car, but he'll turn around and he'll take the car whenever he feels like it and ride other women around, and there's nothing you could do about it. And then you got those other sick ones that'll turn around and they'll bring, every time he come to the house, he's bringing a guy, and you got to service both of them, or 3 of them, or 4 of them, in exchange for him paying your bills. What you think that is? Y'all know what this is. They're trying to glamorize the situation. Y'all know what it is. Just because you ain't on the corner doing it doesn't mean it's not what it is. It's still what it is. I'm talking to somebody today. You got to think about your life. And then you turn around and bring kids into the situation. You can't talk your way out of some mess like that when they see it every day all the time. How you going to talk your way out of it? When they're seeing it over and over again and you have done nothing to change it, you're not making any moves, you're just talking. And then as soon as they turn their back, you go right back to doing what you just got through talking about. You think them kids they're gonna be so confused? And they're either gonna go one way or the other. Either way, it's gonna be bad. You got to change that. I'm telling you, 20 years from now, that child going to turn around and go through the exact same shit that you went through and going to have the same attitude that you went through. But no, you're going to play helicopter parent then. And all of a sudden, you're going to have something to say. How you going to have something to say when you did the same thing, Ma? How you going to have something to say when you did the same thing, Daddy? I'm just doing what you did. What are you going to say then? Y'all better fix this. I'm telling you. The best thing that you could do is, if you're in a negative situation, is to turn it into a positive and shut that shit down. Because that way your child can see what it's like to be able to handle your business, and they can understand what it's like to solve a problem instead of making excuses for it. Just saying.